Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Another fantastic Friday morning, a big day ahead of us at Wisdoms, and hope many of you are going to join us. We've got Pulelo in the wings there, and Edward on standby, and lots of exciting things going to happen today. So really looking forward to that. And as you may have noticed, as you were coming on board, I've got my head down trying to get some things sorted out on the other screen here, but so Lee, you're going to have to kick this one off again because my mind is completely somewhere else at the moment. So go for it.
Well, we're talking about opportunities. So this was really coming out of what are you looking for? What are you seeing? And how are you therefore taking advantage of opportunities? And as I was thinking about this, I obviously asked, the normal thing, how have I found opportunities, or if opportunities have presented themselves to me? And I realized there's been, and there may many ways that they come. I don't think there's one way, but the two ways that I have most experienced opportunities in my life. The one is what I would call connecting the dots. So I have a need, and I'll give the example of during my burnout, I knew at a certain stage, I realized I needed to get away. I needed to get out of my environment. I needed to separate myself from everything that was dragging me down. I needed a new place to reconfigure my brain and where I was at. But I had no money, and I had two small children, and obviously a husband. So the wonderful thing about the ministry, or Christopher working in the ministry is in the Methodist Church, is that they have, from the colonial era, they would have a 3-month furlough every 5 years. So this was coming up for Christopher. So that was the one dot. The other dot was somebody came to me, a good friend of ours, from the States, from Nashville in Tennessee, needed to come to South Africa for a 3-month period to start a project here. And because it was 3 solid months, he wanted to bring his family. So he asked me to investigate schools that would take his kids. He had 2 children, more or less the same age as our 2 daughters. And would there be any schools in the area that would accept his children for 3 months? Dot number 2. So the long and the short of it is we did a house swap, a car swap, and a school swap. Wives were kept to the husbands. And we exchanged homes and lives for 3 months. We went to go and live in their house in Nashville, paying our expenses back in South Africa while they stayed in our house, and our children just changed schools. And it was just an opportunity that I couldn't have thought of, but just bringing all the different pieces together. And there are many instances in my life, and I think Wisdoms is another one of those, where I came with facilitation experience, wanting material, working with Trevor and Ivan, going into the corporate, and these dots all started to connect. And then the other way that opportunities have come to me is by fishing. And I used that analogy yesterday towards the end of our time. And that's especially for me in the business environment. I love people who tell me that they've got business from one referral to the next. It's never happened for me. I don't know if there's a sign on me that says, I've always had to go looking. And for me, that's been, and I grew up with a fisherman dad. He never had one rod in the dam. There were always 3 or 4 or 5, and they all were on sticks, and he would be out, you could see his rods, but he would be out with his own rod, and it was to see which line was going to go, which line was going to go. And that's what I do, is I'm constantly sending out emails, messages, phone calls, asking here, checking there. I'm fishing, and something will come back. Something, the more rods I put out, something comes back. So that's the other way that I have got opportunities. And I think the last thing I want to say about opportunities is, as much as they may present themselves or they may come your way, I've never had an opportunity that just made itself. You know, it was all wrapped up in a nice little gift bag, and all I had to do was open it. I've always had to work opportunities. I had an amazing opportunity to work with the University of Mpumalanga. It took 18 months from the agreement of doing the rollout of the project to the implementation. And that was only because I bugged them so much that eventually, out of pure perseverance and their irritation with me, we made it happen. So you have to keep, opportunities have to be worked and worked and worked. Otherwise, other people's agendas, you just get, that's what I feel. I feel like people are busy, they're focused on what they're doing. You have to make yourself known in order to make your opportunity happen. So that's my input, just to get the conversation going. And so I'd love to hear what happens to you. How do you see opportunities? How do you take advantage of them?
Sure, thanks, Lee. You've just blown a lifelong belief of mine. I always thought that opportunity knocks. So, you know, you just told me that, you know, I mean, we trash beliefs on this system. I mean, Father Christmas, the Tooth Fairy, opportunity knocks. They just all seem to go out the window one after the other as we go through the conversations here. So, really starting to wonder what the opportunity is here for us. So anyway, it's all interesting. It's all good. All makes us think. So. Edward, let's get to you first this morning. So how does opportunity knock for you, or how do you knock opportunity?
I was going to use two other people as an example and relate it to COVID. A friend of mine, he does sales training and presentation training, but normally in the client's premises, normally with about 20 people in the room. He couldn't do that because of COVID. And he thought, well, I can do it by Zoom, but you know, normally the courses are a day or 2 day courses, and a whole day on Zoom is going to kill people. So he cut the course down into chunks. And then he found actually what he could do was, in the middle of the chunks, he could check back in with people and say, well, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And because he wasn't traveling, he wasn't charging the client as much, because he wasn't charging his accommodation or his travel. But because he wasn't traveling, he could actually put more into the day. So he's now decided going forward, that's going to be his model, because it gives him the chance to interact in between. So he's got a different offering. But he kind of thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I need really good video, I need really good audio. So he's invested in a really good camera, a microphone, and also, strange enough, a guitar chair, a guitar stool, so he can sit properly without sort of, you know, spinning around. And I thought that was really interesting. And then another one, it's a lady that makes vegan ice cream. So very close to my heart. And actually, I've got a very small shareholding in the company. And she initially sold into to Tesco's, which is one of our biggest supermarkets. And when COVID came along, they sort of, and we had panic buying and all that sort of stuff and supply chain disruptions, they said they were going to only concentrate on main lines. And she thought they'd drop her line because it was only sort of, you know, a minor thing. So she investigated how to sell direct to customers. And she didn't know how to do it. She's only a very small firm. She outsources manufacture, she outsources logistics. So she brought in a consultant, and now she sells direct to customers as well. But Tesco's never actually cut her contract, so she's expanded her business hugely. And those two things together made me think, actually, they've really gone back to the basic management tool, which we don't hear that much about nowadays, is SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that was the basics of what they'd done. They looked at the threats, they looked at the opportunities, they looked at their weaknesses, and sorted it all out. So I think, actually, if you want to get some opportunities, go back to the basics, get a huge piece of paper, write down your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, sort it all out, go and do it.
Thanks, Edward. Fantastic advice. And are you making us write things on paper again? I thought we got over that yesterday.
Whiteboard then, have a whiteboard.
I've got one of those in front of my desk. Good. Mpolelo, let's get across to you.
Good Friday morning to everyone. Lee, I know a person or two that you can irritate for me until they give me some money. So, you know, and look, I didn't know about this swapping stuff. I mean, I would like to swap Trevor's house. You know, he could come to mine and I live in his, and I think I'll be a happier man or something. Anyway, look, for me, interestingly, it's been a little bit opposite to your experience, Lee, in that almost all the work I've ever done or received has been through referral. Yeah, I always get referred. I always get calls. We heard about you. So most of the work I've done in life was referral. The Anglo work was a referral. The De Beers work was a referral. So most of the time, I've been referred work. Opportunities I see, I think one of the smaller challenges I have is that the opportunities I see, I tend to see big opportunities, which means it's things that you would need to take time to build and put together, because most of the opportunities I see, I tend to see them from problems. For instance, with COVID, there's problems that small businesses are closing. And that, for me, there's lots of opportunities within that space. So where I'm liking what you're saying, Lee, and probably what I need to learn is to see these smaller opportunities that you can access quickly. Also to your example, Edwards, of the two examples that you've made, you know, it's those smaller opportunities. I struggle with that. I tend to function at a level that thinks very big picture. I think I did mention to Jasper at some stage to say, you know, I need somebody who has the ability and who can teach me the smaller pieces. I'm not sure if I should be learning that, but I tend to be a very big thinker type of like person. So opportunities I see tend to require that a lot of work be put in place to build them so that you can access those opportunities. So having said all that, this is what I'm thinking I should be doing, given that I have that kind of nature, is one, I should build teams of people, and two, I should find money. And in that way, I can access these big opportunities and they can break them down into smaller pieces, because I tend to think much more widely and much more big, and that takes time to build.
Great, thanks, Mpolelo. All right, let's get across to the man who always thinks massive opportunities, but has the ability to think in incredible detail as well. Trevor, let's get across to you.
Yeah, I thought you were introducing Jasper there, but anyway, I'll jump in. So, look, you know, I like Mpumelo's comment, because if I think back, I've always thought big picture. And I think there are two types of revenue that an entrepreneur who thinks big picture has got to focus on. One is bread and butter revenue. So what do you need to survive on a daily basis? Weekly, monthly. So you've got to consider that. And then the other is that you've got to, as an entrepreneur, and I've always done this well over 40, 50 years, I've taken a big picture view to almost everything that I've done. And I would be happy to get a return anything from 3 to 5 to 10 years on a particular project. So I balance between bread and butter. And I think when I was younger, In fact, the younger you are, the less bread and butter need you have. So if you're fortunate enough to go and live on the beach for 5 to 6 odd years, you don't need too much bread and butter to survive. So you can really think big picture, and then you may as well put your time into going after the big objectives. So let me just try and bring it back to opportunity. I think opportunity is everywhere, and it changes on a daily basis. And this COVID-19 has given us an opportunity, and I said it at the beginning of the week. I think COVID-19 has just equalized the playing field across the world, but it's not going to equalize it for long. I think we've only got about 6 to 9 months to actually take advantage of the opportunities that are being presented right now. And then there's going to be some sort of meandering back to the way things always were, in the way that people operated. And if you don't get off your butt right now to do something really big right now, you're going to have missed this opportunity that COVID-19 has given. And so I'm on the lookout all the time right now for what it is we can do now to do the things that other people are not doing, to actually go out global. And today at Wisdoms is an example of that. I think we're on the cusp of reaching 1 million people. And that's why we're launching 1 million passionate people who want to make a positive difference in the world. This is the opportunity to do it. And I know that our team is grabbing it with all hands. So opportunity just, it's around the corner all the time, but sometimes you've really got to work hard to actually grab it.
Right, thanks, Trevor. Right, Steve, let's come across to you next.
Thanks, Owen. I think I've always thought that opportunity has found me. One of the most of the significant opportunities in my life seem to have found me rather than me going looking for it. But that's a view that I've started to change and integrate some different things into my worldview over the last few years. Because that's not entirely true. I have also looked quite hard for opportunities, but I've had a very narrow definition of opportunity in the past. And so the opportunities that I look for are different sometimes from what other people are looking for. And so where I seek opportunities in relationships and in people, as opposed to necessarily more just sort of the economic business type sort of things. And so I'm trying to integrate a number of these different things when I look at opportunity. So yeah, a number of things seem to find me, and I seem quite happy with those things that find me. But I'm also not satisfied in the people environment, and I go out looking for new and better things there. So yeah, thanks. Mostly I'm just listening this morning.
Great, thanks, Steve. Right, Stella, you started with your new opportunity right when everything was shutting down.
Yeah. Thanks, Ivan. Morning, everyone. Yeah, so this morning I'm just getting a lot of good ideas again. So for me, so far I've not been doing enough fishing. So thanks for that, Lee. I must do more fishing, because the opportunities that came our way was from referrals. Yesterday, I got a referral from a pro bono case that I did. So that's nice. And then yesterday, someone, one of the connections that I met over all these network meetings, said to me, why don't you, just to keep you going, your bread and butter for now, do some online tutoring. So, and he gave me a good connection of him to contact today. So I'm quite excited about that. So to capitalize on my strengths, on my experience with my accounting, I can do some online tutoring, you know, just to have different revenue streams. So I'm very grateful for that. But most of the stuff was actually coming to me. And I think I need to go out more from my side. So thanks for that advice, Lee. And thanks for all the insights, guys.
Great, thanks, Stella. Donovan, I see you struggling a little bit with your connectivity again this morning, but are you there? Would you like to add your thoughts in? Yeah, Donovan's clearly struggling, but Cecile, would you like to talk about opportunity from your perspective?
Yeah.
Oh, where's Donovan now? Sorry, Donovan, if I'm bumping in on your chance. Yeah, Trevor, that was interesting that you just said that about what is it called, small thinking, or whatever, large and small thinking. I think probably what I've done my whole business career is probably small thinking, not big thinking. Yeah, so I've done, and I've kept chit chat open, well, going for 16 years, and it's done well, but it hasn't made me rich in any way. Probably because I am content to look for the smaller opportunities, or I don't see the big, large opportunities. And it's a horrible thing to acknowledge to yourself, but it is just one of those things. And I try, and this this PPE stuff is like blowing my mind, because I didn't get into it to make a lot of money. I thought I will help the people that I know that need the PPE stuff. But it looks like in this PPE market, there's a lot of people out there all they are interested in is to see how much money they can make, like I just explained to you guys earlier. And that it just goes against my grain. It's just not someone who I am. I couldn't sleep if I had to make 2 million rand in one transaction, where I know that money could actually be going towards a lot of masks or gloves or something that a hospital may need. So I don't know, maybe my ethical background is hampering me on doing that, but I just can't do it. And Lee, thanks for the fishing thing, because one tends to be so busy with doing the everyday things that you forget, and maybe that's something that one needs to diarize, even if it's once a week, to do some extra fishing. Because you're so busy with doing the daily grind stuff, running on the mill, that you forget, oh God, you need to actually go and get some extra nourishment to sustain the business, or to get new opportunities elsewhere. So yeah, so Lee, I'm also going to follow your example in doing extra stuff. But I try to see opportunities where they arise, but sometimes I'm a bit, I don't see them.
Great, thanks, Cecile. So, we lost Donovan again, just as I was about to go back to him. All right, so Jasper, let's pop across to you.
Hi guys, it was nice for a time to just get all the ideas. So all I have to do is now summarize all your ideas and sound very clever. But I think the first thing that came up when Lee started to introduce the topic of opportunity is just the thing that I was reminded often in my life, that it seldom comes at your convenience. And what I mean by that is you're probably not ready financially or time-wise or emotionally, but somehow you recognize, I need to start focusing on that. And it could be easier at that stage not to take the opportunity. And I think a lot of people in their lives have walked away from opportunity because at that time it was not convenience. Yet another person who pushed through have changed his life. And that was certainly the case for me, moving out from a very professional background and a corporate career into something that at that stage everyone was looking down on, and that's the multi-level marketing industry. And that's how New Life came into our way. And when the next breakthrough came and Uganda opened up for us, financially I wasn't ready. Timing wasn't right, and again I had to somehow dig deep, and belief also comes into this thing. Is am I hearing correctly, or is this just my own cleverness here? But the Uganda thing opened up the next breakthrough for us, and out of Uganda many years later came my revelation around what I'm busy with right now, gig, and this whole legacy thing. So I think success is never a one-time event. It's a continuous unpacking and digging deeper and circling back and uncovering more of yourself and the opportunity. And also as time goes on, our environment around us changed drastically. So today we can do things like Zoom that we could never have done way back when we didn't even have cell phones. And I think the other thing that I've learned over the last many years is, yes, you can try and have a go at stuff as an individual, but it took me a long time to learn that I'm actually wasting time, that almost nothing of the stuff that I attempted as an individual is standing today. Everything that is still standing is because I've approached it as a team. And to build the right team around you, and I want to commend Wisdoms. I think they can do what they're going to do today because of a relationship that was forged over the last 10, 20 years of trying this, trying that, and actually during the process got to discover each other's giftings. And I want to commend Ivan, you know, just by the way you facilitate. I can see you're well read, very clever, a good listener, and Lee, your ability to pluck something out there out of nothing and out of this. And then there's an old man there in my corner here that is the deep, a deep clown. But I think the big thing is, for me, team stands out big. And with that comes another thing then, way back when I started to become successful in what I was doing, I've learned a slogan, or I don't know where it came from, but it says something to the effect that you first build the system, then the system builds you. So once you know what it is that you want, then start understanding the components of that thing, and then start building the system. And it's never a one-man show, it's a team effort. But if you do it correctly, that's how corporates are established. Corporates today can pay massive salaries to the people working in that corporate because it's the sum total of all the people fitting in there and bringing in their unique skills to the table. And then I think right through this whole thing is, you know, you're most ready for the next breakthrough at the time of extreme discomfort, because while you're not too uncomfortable, you're also not yet ready to look at the next thing. So I think I concur with Trevor there. This is a window of opportunity. It's a window of opportunity for the next 6-12 months. And I think we have everything in it. We just need to understand where do we fit into that ecosystem. So also another word that I want to bring into the discussion is ecosystem. So what is this new ecosystem of this economy? And what role do I have to play in this new ecosystem? And I think the tools, Zoom, and what Ivan and them are doing with ClickFunnels, these are tools that are not yet being, for me, it's a new learning curve, this whole ClickFunnels thing. And I actually feel a bit uncomfortable, but I know I have to break through this thing because it's the thing that will duplicate you 20 times, 100 times, 1,000,000 times, because unless you learn how to operate in this new economy, and I like the examples that Edward had with his friend that had to reinvent himself from a training perspective, because we all are forced now with that issue. Reinvent yourself, and good luck if some of it can go back to the old normal, but most likely, you know, I think a lot of people who will go back and look for the old normal will be like the people, the mice in this Who Moved My Cheese. They keep waiting for things to come back to where it was, and in the meantime, the cheese has been moved. So I'm happy. I count myself fortunate to be surrounded by wise people and a team, and everything from now on that I tackle is from a team perspective. But I can see that it's not that you walk away from stuff that you've done before. You just recircle back to it, and you find new, better ways to do what you what worked for you in the past.
Great, thanks, Jasper. Lots of wise words in that one, I think. So thank you very much for that, and appreciate the compliment too. Yeah, and you know, you talk about Trevor. Yeah, I think you know, he's instilled in us. We've really got to be extremely serious about not taking ourselves too seriously. So, so Donovan, are you back with us? Do you want a quick word?
Yes, I'm back, sort of. Yeah, I was trying to say on the chat box that I once partnered with a friend. His company's logo or slogan was I'll make your problems my problems. So we ended up with, you know, a lot of problems, non-payment, etc. But I think what comes out of that lesson is, you know, there are opportunities which present themselves as problems that someone has that you are able to solve. So it's also a matter of looking out for those problems and see how you can, you know, profit from it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Donovan. Yeah, it reminds me of a Jim Rohn quote, I think, was, you know, you find a community with a problem and provide them with a solution. That's the way you get to make yourself wealthy. Yeah, I think that's it. You know, people want solutions. They don't want to be sold, and opportunities come out of providing the right solutions, I think, you know, for the right problems. And so I agree 100% with that. So I think we'll probably end off on that one. Lee, you want to wrap up quickly for us this morning and tell us whether we'll still be standing on Monday after the rest of the day? Ed told us in his little intro that you know, you're going to kill people if you put them on Zoom for the whole day, and that's exactly what we're doing today, Ed. So thanks for the heads up on that one. I think we're in for an interesting day ahead of us, but really looking forward to it.
So it was the quickly that got to me, Ivan. I'll wrap up quickly. When I think about Jasper talking about these opportunities, seldom are, you know, especially the big ones, are seldom possible without teams. And Mpumelelo saying, you know, I need maybe other people to come in and ensure that we can work together to achieve some of these big goals. And Edward talking about a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and that within that, when we recognize what our strengths and weaknesses are as individuals and as businesses, we start to then again look up and to see, well, who can help me? Who can I bring on board? And how can they benefit? And so I think what I'd like us to discuss on Monday is, how do you build a team? How do you grow a team? What does a team look like? And so, yeah, let's talk about teamwork. So, and I think there's lots that we can pull out in terms of teams, but let's just start with how do you collect a team? How do you bring a team together? Let's start with that question.
Great, thanks, Lee. Thanks, everyone. Hope you're going to be able to join us during the course of the day. Love to have you on board, but otherwise have a fantastic weekend and look forward to talking teams on Monday with you. Have a good one. Cheers now.